In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win!
You know what time it is.
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic.
Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Holy cow! Oh my God!
I don't believe it! It just continues!
You believe in miracles?
Do you know what time it is?
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Welcome back into another episode of the Sports Hour. This is Mitch-Mo.
And this is Dallen. Guys, welcome on in to another episode of the Sports Hour. So good to be here with you live on this Tuesday night. If you are joining us on YouTube or on X, we appreciate you joining live. If you're listening to the podcast in the future, hello, thanks for tuning in. It's episode 178. We are fully into the college football and NFL seasons, Mitch, and so we are. It almost feels good to be in the normal grind of things. We have a regular ass football season podcast for you. Campus tour, NFL week recap, quick picks, a little bit of news, a little bit of other segments in there, but this is what we do best. I'm excited to be here to do it with you, my friend. First off, Mitch, love the hat. Hat's looking great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm great. Football. Lots of football. I'm excited. No, I'm fantastic. It was a good little week off there. Dallen, you went and enjoyed yourself south of the border,
Yes.
playing a little golf down there in Mexico.
Do you know what they call golf in Spanish, Mitch? Do you know what they call golf in Mexico when you go down there?
I believe it is a golf.
Yeah, it's called golf. Turns out it's the same thing. And I still suck at it. So no, it was a great time. Enjoyed some sun down in Mexico. Good to be here though. Good to be here on this podcast tonight with you. And again, if you don't join us, we're live on Tuesdays throughout the NFL season. So you want to come join us live, be a part of the show. It's youtube.com/the sports hour, guys, or you can follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at Sports Hour Guys. Join us live and comment, share your thoughts as we go. We love to hear from you. So if you don't already, invite you to do that. But Mitch, yeah, as I said, jam-packed show today. Pretty much the normal stuff we got going on tonight.
Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. We're gonna have the campus tour. We're gonna have some segments thrown in the middle. We got our week 3 recap of the NFL, and then we're gonna round it off like we always do during the NFL season with our quick picks. But Dallen, a little bit of news we got to get into first. So let's start this thing off with the little bit of news, and it's no shock here, football related. Usher. It has been announced that Usher is going to headline the Super Bowl 58 halftime show this year. Dallen, you're the hip hop guy. Happy Usher's doing it? Has it grown on you a little bit? What was your initial reaction to the announcement of Usher being our halftime entertainment this coming Super Bowl?
Yeah, we love the halftime show, and we talk about it, I feel like, quite a bit on this podcast. We talked about the Rihanna halftime quite a bit. We were big fans of the Snoop Dogg Dre halftime show a couple years ago in LA. Super Bowl's in Vegas, and the NFL brings in Usher. And listen, I think at first maybe I was a little surprised, not the name that you think of right off the bat, but this was interesting. About a month ago, my wife and I were discussing this. And about what sort of artist they would try to peg for the halftime show, because you don't get the hot at the moment acts in the halftime show, right? It's always like a decade or so past that real prime that they have, that they sort of get that invite almost as a legacy thing in a lot of ways. And I think that works pretty well. So as we looked at like the Rihanna era of music, my wife and I started like trying to name and think of what other artists in that era, would they potentially look at. And I think we talked about Usher maybe a little bit, but that was never a name that we thought, oh yeah, for sure Usher will get a call. But it is growing on me. It is music that you and I grew up listening to. Mm-hmm. And so they're hitting that millennial audience just like they did with Rihanna. And I think that will work well. And Usher has got some songs with collaborators. That means that he can bring in people like Alicia Keys, like Ludacris, like other, Little John, and make it a little more of an interesting show. So I do think Usher will be good. It has grown on me a bit. What about you?
Yeah, I wasn't super thrilled because I don't know. I guess my mind went to the hot acts of right now.
Sure.
And honestly, we've had so much R&B and hip hop over the last few years that I was like anticipating something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And they kind of stayed with that, and they went with Usher. And so I was like, there's a lot of other acts maybe that would have fit the bill for a Super Bowl halftime show that I think would have been outstanding gets if they could get them. But as you and I talked about it before the podcast, it did grow on me a little bit, the possibilities of what could happen with Usher on stage. So I think it's a great fit. I think that Usher is going to be he's a fantastic performer, and I think that putting him on the world's biggest stage, a Super Bowl halftime, that's going to be it's going to feel like home to him. It's going to be
Yeah, I would expect for him to put on a good show at the very least. I think Michael comments here, and I agree with you. He says, if it's only Usher, I'm going to be disappointed. I'd agree with you. I think Rihanna had enough star power last year, and Mitch and I talked about on that pre-Super Bowl episode, the idea of collaborators for Rihanna. Would they bring out Jay-Z or Drake or some of these other artists that she'd work with, and they didn't. And it was just Rihanna, and I think she held it down fine, but I agree with you. I would be disappointed if it was only Usher. I hope that they bring in some other artists to make it a little more interesting. And I do think with the first Super Bowl in Vegas, that's kind of a big moment. Perhaps we need to, kind of do it a little bigger, I guess. So we'll see what they have in store.
Oh, you have to. I mean, it's Sin City, baby. It's the entertainment capital of America. You have to put on the big show for your first time in Vegas. And so hopefully they do that up a little bit nicer with Usher.
Yeah.
So
live tigers, nobody gets eaten though. Let's see. What kind of Vegas elements? See, that's where what kind of Vegas elements can we bring
Well,
into
they
in
gotta
a
have-
classy way, you know?
They gotta
but
have the girls with the dresses and the big hair,
the big
deals,
the
feathers.
feathers.
Yeah,
the
they have
giant
those
ass
going.
feathers.
Yeah, the Vegas strip girls and not the hookers, not the
Not,
hookers,
not the actual
hookers.
strippers, right,
No,
Mitch?
no, not
You're
the
not
actual
suggesting
strippers.
at the Super Bowl halftime show.
No,
that
no,
would bring
no.
in a whole different kind of audience that I just don't think the NFL is looking for.
The one of the pervy variety, I think.
Yeah,
is what that would turn in.
probably not ideal.
No.
But yeah, I mean, again, the Vegas thing. I think there's something there. I hope with the Vegas element that they do something there. Michael also adds, just want to say, is Taylor Swift too big for the Super Bowl? You never know if artists turn it down, right? We never know if artists say, yeah, I don't want to, or it doesn't work with my schedule or whatnot. I'm sure the NFL would love Taylor Swift to do the Super Bowl, especially considering all the news she's making around the NFL right now.
I can't. Yeah.
But is she too big for it? I mean, maybe she's like a 10 years down the road, then she gets her Super Bowl halftime. But great question, Michael, I guess.
I don't know if you can be too big for the Super Bowl. I mean, that, like we just said, that's the world's biggest stage.
That's
Not
fair.
only are you playing at the world's biggest sporting event, or the at least America's biggest sporting event, you're also playing in probably in front of the largest audience you ever will because of all the people tuning in at home. So I don't know if there's any artist that's ever too big for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. But I don't know.
That's fair.
Super Bowl doesn't also seem like Taylor Swift's deal right now. She's got her own thing going on.
She's already selling out NFL stadiums
By
without the
herself.
Super Bowl halftime show. So yeah.
It's just more on Taylor Swift later. We'll leave it at that. Down. Let's jump right in though to some football talk here, and let's get into the campus tour.
Yes.
And let's start with a little bit of recap of what we saw in week 4. And let's start in the Pac-12. Dallen, we're back to reality, right? We have had the hype of Colorado and how great they are and how much promise there is in that program. Everything's pointing in the right direction. But a little dose of reality handed to Coach Prime and his Buffaloes this week as they get taken down by the Oregon Ducks, the 10th ranked Oregon Ducks, 42-6. In an absolute stomping. Shedeur Sanders actually looks like he's a human this last week with the 23 for 33 performance, 159 in the TUD. The run game was almost non-existent for the Buffs. Obviously, the absence of Travis Hunter is hurting this team. But Dallen, was this more indicative of just Colorado being kind of brought back down to reality? They were on cloud 9, grab them by the ankles and drag them back down to where they're supposed to be. Or is this just a misstep, I guess, in the Colorado, in the Buffalo season moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's probably a mix of that, to be honest. I do think that there was a lot of overinflation of Colorado and a lot of excitement, justifiably so, around Deion and this program and the talent they'd brought in. But we talked about this before. I always felt like TCU was overrated. I didn't think they were a top 25 team at all. Clearly, they haven't really proven to be a high-quality team. Nebraska's no good. And then this Colorado team survived in overtime against Colorado State, right? Those are the 3 games we saw from Deion's squad. So did we really know that much? How much should we have been convinced about how good they were? In retrospect, we probably should have taken that with a bigger grain of salt, maybe than clearly voters did in the AP poll and maybe the general college football fan base. But I do think that Colorado is still a good team. I think they're a top half Pac-12 team, clearly. But they have some obvious flaws, and that's what happens when you were a one-win team a year ago. Right. As much talent as Deion can bring in and as much as you can turn it over in 1 year, winning then a winning culture, it doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't. And this defense is still a problem. Oregon made them completely one-dimensional on offense. They stifled the run game completely. It's not a great offensive line in Colorado. It's a good one. So when you make them one-dimensional and you're forcing Shedeur to step back, I mean, it's pretty easy to beat at that point. And so, yeah, I think that Colorado is still a good team. I think could still win 8 games this year. And listen, from going 1 win to 8 wins would be incredible for Colorado. That's not a bad thing at all. But like, I don't think that they were or ever like they are or ever were a Pac-12 championship contender per se. And this game proved that to us. And now we can sort of accept Colorado for what they are, which is a really fun team. That's a lot better than maybe we expected. And that's great.
I think this is a great example too of in the era of NIL deals, programs still cannot be bought. They have to be built.
Yep.
And it takes time to build a house. And Colorado's one they're building a pretty strong foundation, but they still have a lot of work to do. I think another takeaway that I take away from this game is, and this is why I didn't buy into this hype, is because I figured games like this were going to happen for Colorado. I think that a game like this for Shedeur Sanders, as far as Heisman hype goes, very detrimental to, I think, the Heisman hype for him. I mean, this hurts him in that race. So I think that's another big takeaway. Takeaway from this is match that, taking away takeaways. I think it's these types of games can't happen for Shedeur Sanders if he wants to be in that Heisman conversation. And you might get away with one. You certainly aren't going to get away with two. And so if he really wants to continue to be a part of that, growing in that conversation, he can't have performances like he had last weekend against Oregon.
Yeah, the key for Shedeur and for this Colorado team, Mitch, is just to look much better next week against USC. And it doesn't get any easier
it doesn't.
Against USC, but you have to look at least competent. You can't get you can't lose that game 42-6. You can't look as bad as you did. You're not going to beat USC, and that's fine. But make it a competitive game. Stay within 2 touchdowns. Prove that you can at least fight, and you'll correct some of that narrative that's now flipping on Colorado of, they were, now it was all smoke and mirrors. They were all talk, no bite, whatever. It's like you've got to bounce back here for both Shedeur and for this team. And yeah, big test for them this week. So
yeah. Any big takeaways from Oregon? I mean, to me, they just looked like a playoff contender to me.
Yeah. Yeah, Oregon's a very good team.
Yeah.
I think most impressive was their defense, Mitch, against a really good Colorado offense. I mean, they had 7 sacks in this game, holding the Buffs to just 6 points. If Colorado's defense is going to be this good this year in the Pac-12, then they are legit playoff contenders. Because USC doesn't have a very strong defense. Washington has the potential of a strong defense. We know Utah has a very strong defense in Oregon State, but if Oregon can merge with a very high level defense to complement the firepower, yeah, for sure. The Ducks were very impressive on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Utah's strong defense, let's move over to that Utah UCLA game. Big win, I think, for Utah. 14-7 over UCLA, a low scoring affair. But Dallen, the defense showing out. I mean, they made Dante Moore have a hell of a night under center, only 15 for 35, 234, the tud, and then the interception. This Utah defense, man, it's legit. And it's not flashy. It's just like running into a stone wall with this Utes defense. They just were incredibly impressive against UCLA.
Yeah, Utah's got a very deep defense. They've only allowed 38 points this season, Mitch. That's 4 games. They've allowed 38 points, and they haven't played a cupcake schedule. They played Baylor. They played Florida. They've now played UCLA. I mean, they've played 3 Power 5 teams in that stretch. This defense has proven to be legit. They get by in this one. We still haven't seen Cam Rising, who was the backbone of this team. He's the quarterback. We still haven't seen him this season, and they've been able to win these games without him with the backup quarterback and Nate Johnson. So we'll see when Cam comes back. The big game against Oregon State this week. Perhaps we see him in Corvallis, but I'll tell you the noise we're getting out of this is that they are very cautious and very slow to throw him back out there. So again, they've gotten by without him so far. But if they test their luck one more week against Oregon State, can they muster another win without their star quarterback? I think it might be tough sledding, but impressive that they've been able to do all this again without Cam Rising, because he is their offense. He's a huge for their team. So 4-0 in that impressive win on Saturday against UCLA.
Yes, absolutely. Very impressive win for the Utes. Let's go back into our last Pac-12 team Pac-12 game that we're going to cover is Wazoo, Washington State University, getting it done over Oregon State. Got to find that game really quick. But an important win, I think, for Washington State because they're easily overshadowed by UW. Definitely kind of playing little brother to UW as far as college football supremacy goes, but a huge win over an Oregon State team that a lot of people were high on. You and I were both high on them. We thought they were Pac-12 championship contenders. Losing to a team like Wazoo maybe kind of starts to shuffle them out of that conversation. Wazoo continues to look impressive through the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think this was a big game for both these programs who are, in a stacked Pac-12 conference this year. Nobody's really talking about Washington State at all. And Oregon State is sort of that dark horse Pac-12 conference champ, but they're clearly looked behind, those top 4 schools. But Wazoo, impressive in this win against a ranked opponent. I think Wazoo is legit. I think this just proves how talented the Pac-12 is this year. And they continue to show how deep they are. And this is just another instance of this Wazoo team that nobody was even really thinking about this year, coming out, beating Oregon State 38-35. Cam Ward's having a hell of a season, the quarterback formerly of Houston Baptist at the FCS level, then transferred up this level, joined Washington State last year. But yeah, I think Washington State is actually legit, and maybe they're a dark horse Pac-12 champ. I just think this whole conference is really good, Mitch, and that's why I'm excited to see them play each other. Like, I want to see these matchups. I want to see how they actually play out, because there's so much talent in this conference this season. There's so many good teams. We'll see who, survives the gauntlet, essentially.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams with winning records, I think, in that conference. Or a lot of teams that should have winning records, and maybe you're finishing, 8-4, or 6-6, maybe because the conference play is so damn tough. But we look back on those teams and go, that was a pretty darn good 6-6 team. Like, they were pretty competitive. So, a great performance from Wazoo. Oregon State's defense, clearly not living up to the hype that we had given them over the previous 3 weeks. Giving up 38 to Wazoo, but an outstanding performance for the Cougars.
Yeah, I wouldn't write off Oregon State though quite yet.
I'm not.
We got to give them another shot. Again, they got Utah at home this week, so a good chance for them to bounce Pac-12 conference race. So we'll see how they look.
6-3 final score in that game. That's just two great defenses.
It very well could be, Mitch. Let's jump over to the SEC. We had one game we wanted to mention, and I'm sure you've got thoughts on this, Mitch. Your Alabama Crimson Tide with a very important bounce back win over a ranked Ole Miss squad. Alabama gets it done 24-10 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The defense looked really impressive for Alabama as always, but Jalen Milroe back at quarterback for the Tide, and I thought he showed out well. But you're the Bama fan. You've watched all these quarterbacks. You've seen it all. What were your thoughts on the Tide and specifically of Milroe and how he handled the quarterback position?
That's going to be what holds Alabama back is the quarterback position. I think if Alabama has any chance of getting themselves back into the top 10 at some point this year, they have to just stick with Milroe. They can't fart around with the quarterback position anymore. We know Tyler Buckner's not the guy. We know that's not it. We know Ty Simpson is got a lot of room for improvement, but he wasn't god awful, but he was still pretty bad. Jalen Milroe is their best quarterback, and you got to let the guy eat with his athleticism. His decision making with the ball, throwing the football, just not great. He has to iron out those kinks, but I think as far as you just give an athlete the football and let him make a football play, Jalen Milroe is going to be your guy. Tyler Buckner looked like a crippled goose out there trying to throw the football. It was ugly trying to watch him throw. So glad Milroe's back, and the defense looked pretty good. They shut down Jackson Dart pretty well. They didn't allow him to make any sort of big red zone throws. They shut down the run game exceptionally well. Defense looks solid. Defense looks legit. Quit farting around with the quarterback position, and I think that we'll be a top 10 team by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It definitely feels like Milroe is the guy, their best path to success, at least.
Yeah.
Certainly, though, you are heavily searching the portal next offseason for competition or
Yes.
an upgrade. But yeah, I think their best path to success is to ride with Jalen Milroe, and important that they were able to get this win and bounce back and not let the season unravel completely. You're right back on track. You got, you got a loss. It's not great, but it wasn't in conference play. So you're okay. Like you can get to the SEC championship game, and then it's, you get a win and you're there. I mean, that's the scenario. You got to get it done, but the season is not over for Alabama, and this was an important win for them.
You mentioned the transfer portal. You go look hard at the transfer portal for a quarterback. If I'm Alabama, I'm crossing my fingers that a guy that we lost out on recruiting to Alabama that wound up going to Texas, maybe doesn't like it over there in College Station and is looking to move out with the success of Quinn Ewers.
Mm-hmm.
What if Arch Manning decides, hey, I'm not getting enough time here in Texas. I'm going to go play somewhere else. And I think if that situation happens, Alabama has to jump on it swiftly. And whatever it takes to get him to Alabama, you invest in getting Arch Manning there, because I think that kid's the real deal. And he's not going to play for the next 2 years with Quinn Ewers playing as well as he is. So he's just not going to get the snaps. So he's going to have a way better opportunity to play right now at Alabama than he ever will at Texas for the next 2 years.
That's fair. If Quinn Ewers decides not to go to the NFL and stick around for next season, yeah, maybe Arch.
He's a junior, isn't he? Damn it.
He could go, but you're absolutely right. There's a scenario where Quinn says, hey, I'm getting a second round grade right now. And I think I could be top 10 if I stay and play in the SEC. So I'm coming back. And then Arch says, well, I want to play. So see ya. And there you go. So
yeah,
you better hope that Quinn Ewers doesn't get high NFL draft grades and decides to come back for your Bama's sake.
I hope he's a third round draft grade. I really do.
I love it. Mitch, Big Ten, the couple games. This was probably game of the week for sure, and certainly the most hyped matchup, a top 10 matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame. In fact, in our picks, we continued our college picks and our NFL quick picks last week, despite not having the podcast. We still made them. We still shared them with each other. We had this game. We both locked opposing teams in this matchup. I locked Ohio State in this. Notre Dame was Mitch's lock, and Ohio State got it done at the buzzer, 17-14 to defeat the Fighting Irish on the road. This was quite the slugfest, Mitch. What were your takeaways from this one?
These are just two really, really good football teams that met on the same field and beat the piss out of each other. And I loved every minute of it. It was awesome. I loved the post-game motivational deal from Ryan Day of, where's Lou Holtz? I want to, like, you're trying to fight an 89-year-old man. Shut up, Ryan Day. You big jerk. What are you talking about? You're going to fight 89-year-old Lou Holtz? Is that what you're
offended by Lou Holtz? Like, what are we doing, bro?
I mean, what a joke Ryan Day is. I mean, he is like, he's man, one of those NBC dramas about football. He is that coach in that show. That's what Ryan Day is. I mean, what a joke of a guy. But anyway, it was regardless of that, fantastic football game. I think that really what Notre Dame should have done in that game was utilize Audric Estime a little bit more. He was kept pretty quiet. He only had 14 touches. Now, I know Sam Hartman's been lighting it up through the air, but clearly things weren't quite opening up for him as much as he has seen in the last few weeks. I think when you got a guy like Audric Estime, you have to be able to ground and pound with him, especially against a really physical Ohio State defense. So I think that might have been the downfall. A little bit more ball control from Notre Dame would have gone a long way in maybe flipping this score the other way.
Yeah, I was not a believer on Notre Dame this year, Mitch. I just felt like they were getting overhyped again, and I'm not a believer in Sam Hartman, to be honest with you. And I know you're on the opposite spectrum. You're in on Notre Dame. You were in on Sam Hartman. And I got to say, I walked away from this game very impressed with the Fighting Irish. I walked away from this game thinking they were much better than I did when the game started, because they very well could have and probably should have won this game.
Yep.
Ohio State survives. They got it done. They showed the determination to pull this one out, and good on them for it. But I think this Notre Dame team showed they're a top 10 team. They're playoff capable. If they go undefeated the rest of the way, and this is the blemish on their record, that's, they're going to have USC. They're going to have some other tests to be able to add to their resume. So I won't count out Notre Dame quite as easy as I would have before this game. But Ohio State, though, I mean, it's just about Ohio State, Michigan at this point. We just need to see those two teams play at the end of the season. And one of those teams will be in the playoff, and the other one will probably not. Maybe they still will. It's definitely possible. But I think that's where we're headed at this point. That was my takeaway from this game. So
absolutely. One other game in the Big Ten, I guess, Dallen, Penn State shutting out Iowa. Big game for Penn State. Another team that I think, the same way that you weren't very high on Notre Dame, I wasn't very high on Penn State. And it goes back down to the quarterback situation. I think we all knew Drew Aller was going to be special. I think we know that he's a really good talent. I didn't think that he was going to be this smart with the football this young. I mean, this guy's really, really good. Great defense by Penn State, but also at the same time, you shut out Iowa. I mean, this team averages like 11 points a game. I mean, come on. So, I mean, impressive showing from Penn State. And I think they beat an Iowa team that they should have blown out. Like, they should have blown out. Iowa State's, I think, a little overrated last week, being ranked number 24. An impressive showing from Penn State, though, nonetheless.
For sure. I don't think Iowa is really that good. I'm just circling October 21st. That is when they will travel to Columbus to take on Ohio State. That's when we'll know how good Penn State really is. They play Northwestern. They'll play UMass. Those are the two games they have in between that. We're not going to learn very much about them in the next 3 weeks. So October 21st, that's when we'll learn how good Penn State is. Because right now they'll be in that top 8 ranked range, right, in the polls, and they'll have a shot at being a highly ranked team with a big win. So that'll be the test. But good win for them nonetheless, but still TBD for me on Penn State.
Yeah, definitely.
AP, for sure. AP poll reaction, Mitch. The updates to the AP top 25 this last week. Some of the more notable things: Ohio State bumps into the top 5 after their win over Notre Dame. They are up to number 4 in the polls. There are 4 Pac-12 teams now in the top 10, and they go in order from 7 to 10: Washington, USC, Oregon, Utah. So 4 Pac-12 teams showing up at the back half of the top 10 of the AP poll. 3 new schools this week: Missouri, Kansas, and Fresno State join the top 25. Colorado, UCLA, and Iowa all drop out after their losses. The most notable thing, I think, this week on the voting, Mitch, was that there were 6 teams that received a first place vote. 6 different teams received a first place vote this week. They are Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. I love this. I think this speaks to just how wide open college football feels this year, and I'm curious to see if you agree with me on that. But it doesn't really seem like there's a consensus 3-4 teams that we know are going to be in that playoff mix. It very much feels wide open. I feel like I could name 8 to 12 teams that I could see in the playoff, and we're into week 5 of this season. It's kind of crazy. So I think this reflects that in that voting for the AP top 25. I'm curious your thoughts. Do you feel like this season's pretty wide open?
Oh, it's wide freaking open. Wide open. And I mean, it's reflected in who got the first place votes too, because a representative from every single conference got a first place vote.
Yeah.
I mean, this is completely wide open. Like you said, you could see 8 to 12 different teams making a college football playoff. I see 12, and that top 12 right now, any one of those teams could make it in. Maybe not Alabama. I'm not even really sure if they're super, playoff flirty, but at least in that top 10, any one of those top 10 teams can make a push right now.
Yeah.
And there's even teams outside the top 10. You look at a North Carolina or an LSU, a team that can make kind of a streaky run and put themselves in a position to get a college football playoff spot. It is completely wide open. It's still Georgia's title to lose, I think, at this point, but darn it, they don't run things anymore because there's a lot of really good teams. I think if they run into in the college football playoff, there's at least a few teams, more than a few teams, that they're not going to be super thrilled to see.
Yeah, it's fascinating. No one's looked overly dominant, and the teams that have looked really impressive are almost new. They're not, we're like a Texas. It's like we're still kind of questioning, is it real or not? We don't trust it yet. If Georgia looked dominant, we would trust. Yeah, it's Georgia. If Alabama, but it's almost like these new schools that are playing really well, we don't trust that enough that it's real. And the schools that we do know, the Michigans, the Georgias, the Ohio States, are looking good, but they're not looking great. They're not looking dominant. So I love it. It's been fun for college football for sure.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind too, people, that Georgia's ranked number 1 because they're coming off the national championship and they started off 4-0. Let's keep in mind they have played a cupcake schedule to start the year.
Yeah.
They had UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, and UAB. I mean, they have not played. I mean, I guess South Carolina was the only tough team. Only the real test that they've had, and South Carolina is good, but it's not a huge test for Georgia either. So, like, if there is a team that can give Georgia a test moving down the road, I wouldn't be surprised to see some other teams get more first place votes and start to knock on the door of that number 1 ranking.
For sure.
Okay, Dallen, MVP of the week. We always give our MVP, and let's start. Do you mind if I start here? I'll take the first one. I'm going to go with DJ Giddens. DJ Giddens from Kansas State. 30 touches, workhorse day for him. 30 touches, 207 yards, and 4 touchdowns in a 44-31 win against UCF. Big day for him. My MVP of the week. Give the shout out to the K-State boy.
I love it. Big win for K-State, right? They got it done this last week, if I remember right. And I love that. Running back, 4 touchdowns, 30 touches.
4 touchdowns, 30 touches, 207 yards.
It's a good day. That's
big
a good
day
day at the office.
Good day at the office.
Mitch, my MVP of this week, I got a couple. I want to mention a defensive player as well. My MVP, though, is going to go to Cam Ward, the quarterback from Washington State. Again, I mentioned him earlier when we were talking about the Cougars, but he was an FCS transfer, joined Washington State last year, had a good season in 2022. But this is not only for his performance in the win against Oregon State, but this whole season, Mitch. I mean, I'll give you the stats for the Oregon State win. 404 passing yards, completed 82% of his passes for 4 touchdowns. Also had a rushing touchdown, by the way. So a casual, 5 tutties in the win. But for the season, Mitch, he's completing 74.5% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,389 yards, averaging almost He's averaging 9.9 yards per attempt, and he's got 13 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. The kid is lighting it up. And again, we know the early season schedule is not always great. They've played Wisconsin, and they knocked off Wisconsin, and then they played Oregon State, and they knocked off Oregon State. And last time I checked, those are still 2 pretty good defenses. So the fact that he's doing all this against these defenses is huge. Jake Dickert, his head coach, mentioned this week, it's about time we mentioned Cam Ward with the top college quarterbacks and the NFL draft prospects. And he is a guy on the NFL radar, on the outsides of it. But when he made the move up to the FBS level, to the Power 5 level at Washington State, there was buzz coming from the NFL that wanted to see this kid at the highest level of college football, not at Houston Baptist, but against real competition. And I mean, 2023, it's looking fantastic. So don't be surprised if he keeps this up, if you start hearing his name more and more, but definitely deserve the shout out for the big game that he had. My defensive player, though, I wanted to mention, Mitch, from the Utah Utes, Jonah Ellis. Huge game for the defensive end from Utah. 4 sacks, 5 QB hurries. He had another tackle for loss on top of that. A dominant performance from Jonah Ellis and that Utah Utes defense. So I wanted to give him a shout out as well.
Love the love for the defensive side of the ball. Love that love. And Dallen, speaking of big performances, let's get into the college football trivia question of the week, presented by no one. Presented by no one, but it's a reoccurring segment here on the campus tour. And Dallen, are you ready?
Think so.
All right. So speaking of big performances, this Oklahoma State running back set the record for most 300 rushing yard games in 1988 with 4.
Wow. 1988, Oklahoma State, 4 300-yard rushing games.
Yep, I can even give you the totals. Let's see. He had 332 against Texas Tech, 320 against Kansas State, 312 against Kansas, and 304 against Tulsa.
Oh, man. I'm just trying to think of the era. There's not a name that comes to mind specifically, but 1988. Oh, man. This doesn't feel great. I think this might be early on my timeline. I'm not entirely sure. And I don't even know if this guy played for Oklahoma State. I'm going to say Emmitt Smith.
No, Emmitt Smith is not the correct answer. It is kind of in the right era. This is Barry Sanders, Dallen. Barry Sanders.
Okay, because that came to mind too, but then the timeline, I was like, I was second guessing it. Okay, it was Barry Sanders. Okay.
Even more impressive than the 4 300-yard games. This is where it gets wild. Dallen, in just 11 games, because they only played 11 games back then in a regular season of college football, he rushed for 2,628 yards in just 11 games.
2,600?
2,628 yards, and I believe he had 37 touchdowns in that season as well. So, yes, because also, just another fun fact, the most rushing yards gained by 2 brothers in a single season was Barry Sanders and his brother Byron, who played at Northwestern in 1988. Both, obviously, Barry had the big 2,600-yard season. His brother had a 1,000-yard season as well at Northwestern. So,
damn,
big stuff from the Sanders brothers in the 80s. So how about that?
I love that. There you go. I had to look it up. Emmitt Smith played for Florida, but the years were right. The era was right. I am glad on that, because I was throwing myself off. I'm like, man, when did these guys play in college? I know when they, pit that peak NFL time, but yeah, Barry Sanders. Wow. That's great.
They might have even gone in the same draft now that I think about it, but
yeah,
89 or 90, something like that.
There you go. College football trivia question of the week. Love to see it.
There you go.
Mitch, our upset of the week, we always award this out to the team that had the best upset from the previous week. And this week, Mitch, there were no big ranked upsets this week, and there were none entirely. So we went with an unranked game, but a big upset nonetheless. Northwestern over Minnesota in overtime, 37-34. We know Northwestern, not a great program. Minnesota was favored by 11.5 in this game. So when you're an 11.5 point underdog and you get it done, that's a kudos to you. So that's the upset of the week. Northwestern over Minnesota.
Love it. Gotta love it for Northwestern. Not a whole lot of great things happening in the Chicago, Illinois area right now as far as football goes. So good to see that Northwestern gets the dub over Minnesota.
Yeah.
Dallen, it's time. It's time for our college football picks of the week. And apparently I just forgot how to pick college football games. Like, I just forgot how that worked. You are kicking my ass through the first few weeks of the year. I had 1 point last week, giving me a whopping grand total of 2 points on the year. I mean, literally more weeks have passed in the college football season than I have points. So that's a stat that I should erase from my brain as quick as possible. Dallen walking away with 4 points last week. You nailed the lock with the Ohio State Notre Dame game. And you walk away with 4 points, giving you a grand total of 11 for the year. Well done, buddy. Continue to roll, but I want you to know the Mo train's coming. The Mo train's coming.
I know it. It's inevitable.
I'm talking a little bit too cocky, but you know what? I'm going to hype myself up. Just let me hype myself up a little bit here. Down. Let's get into the first game on the docket. Kansas, 4-0 Kansas, 24th ranked Kansas. Going to head over to College Station to take on the Texas Longhorns, the third ranked Texas Longhorns, another 4-0 team. Right now, Texas favored at minus 16.5. I love this Texas team. I think that they're exceptionally talented. I think they're one of my top teams as far as college playoff contenders go. The 16.5 line though is a little bit too rich for me. I'm not going to take the lock, but I will take Texas to beat Kansas at home. I think Texas is a tough place to play right now too. I mean, those fans are hyped that Texas is back. The Longhorns are back. But I think Texas gets the job done. Not going to take the spread, though.
Yeah. I was going to just let you keep disrespecting Texas by saying they are in College Station. That's Texas A&M. Texas is in Austin. DKR
they
Memorial.
are UT Austin.
Listen, I love it because it was so like unintentional. And I was like, but I should say something.
I know better, though. I know better.
But as far as the game goes, Mitch, this Kansas team, I watched them last week defeat BYU in BYU's Big 12 conference play debut. And this Kansas team is legit. They were, I think, my dark horse Big 12 champ coming into this season because I think Jalen Daniels and this Kansas team is legit. The offense is explosive. It is tricky. It's not easy to defend against, and the defense was impressive against BYU. How impressive is that defense going to be against a Texas offense? I don't know. I'm going to roll with the Longhorns in this one, though I will say Texas will not win this by 16.5. I think this is like a 10-point game, maybe even closer. I think Kansas can make this thing really interesting because they should be riding high right now with this 4-0 record and a top 25 ranking, but I will take the Longhorns at home in this one.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mitch, an SEC matchup up next, another ranked matchup, number 13, LSU. They will take on number 20, Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off the loss to Alabama, chance to bounce back. Couple good SEC teams. We'll see how good they are. LSU favored on the road in this one by minus 2.5. This is a tricky one for me, Mitch. I think this Ole Miss team is solid. Especially on offense. I think the defense is good, but, maybe not top SEC caliber. Not a big believer in this LSU team, though. And I never really have been dating back to last season. All the hype coming into this season, I was not really buying it. But this is a tricky game to pick. I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this one. Jackson Dart bounces back after the tough performance against the Crimson Tide. Fares better against the Tigers. So I'll go Ole Miss here. I don't feel great. This is a tough one for me. This is kind of a toss-up game in my mind.
Yeah, I think this is probably the toughest game of the docket to pick because they're kind of two teams for me where I know they're both good teams, but I think they're going to have some bad weeks. Maybe they're going to have some weeks where they don't look as good. You took Ole Miss plus 2.5. I kind of really like that. I'm going to take LSU. Though. I'm going to roll with the Tigers on the road. No rhyme or reason either. Other than I got to gain a point on you somewhere. So I might as well just, if in the toss-up game, flip the coin. Let's go LSU.
Hell yeah.
Dallen, another SEC matchup, an SEC East matchup between number 22 Florida and unranked Kentucky. 4-0 Kentucky. Kentucky's looked really good to start the year. Right now, the line set at Kentucky, home favorites at -1. Devin Leary has looked really good, but has been a little bit careless with the football at times. 5 interceptions through the first 4 weeks. Not a good look for the quarterback of the Kentucky Wildcats. Graham Mertz has also looked good at times, but maybe the numbers there not to support how good he's actually looked. This is such a close game too, but I think I'm going to take Kentucky to upset Florida. And yeah, I'm just going to take Kentucky to upset Florida. I had to think about it for a second.
No lock. He was thinking.
I was thinking about
it. And that line is a juicy one to lock at -1.
It is.
So I
really
get it.
Juicy.
I get it, but he goes Kentucky, no lock. I will go with the Gators in this one. I think kind of just like that other SEC game. I think it's it's a pretty big toss up. I do like Devin Leary. And I'm bullish on Kentucky. And hey, listen, I mean, they play Florida and then they get Georgia the next week. Perhaps there's some extra motivation to bring some hype into that game. A win against Florida would certainly get them ranked in the top 25, set up a top 25 matchup with Georgia. So, maybe there's some juice for Kentucky in this one, but I think Florida continues the good play. I'll go with the Gators in this one. Mitch, up next, number 11, Notre Dame, coming off the loss to Ohio State. They got to head to what is it? Is it Durham? Is that where Duke is? I don't. Yeah, it is Durham.
It is.
That's
Durham.
right. It is Durham to take on number 17 Duke, the Blue Devils. Notre Dame favored on the road, -5.5 in this one. We talked about Notre Dame a lot. Duke, though, Mitch, we like Duke. Mike Elko has his team playing well. Riley Leonard, one of your quarterbacks to know before the year. I tried to tell you this summer. And he's been having a hell of a start. He's Mel Kiper Jr.'s QB3 in his draft ranker. He was. I think Shadur is now, but he's up in the top 5. There's a lot of love for Riley Leonard right now. Can Duke pull off the upset? I'm saying yeah, Mitch. I'm saying yeah. And you know what? I'll lock it at that. I'm going to lock it. Duke gets the win at home. Give me the Blue Devils.
Damn it, Dallen. It's going to be my lock. It was going to be my lock.
Are you serious? You're
I'm
on
dead
Notre
serious.
Dame and you were going to lock Duke. Wow.
I guess I keep forgetting, too, that like they have to win and cover. Like I can't just pick them to win.
Yeah.
Like if they can, I can't just pick them to, I can't lock them and have them lose by 3. Well, they covered, but I don't get the lock. So,
right.
Yeah, give me the Fighting Irish. Give me Notre Dame in this one.
Okay.
Give me Notre Dame. I might as well just be consistent.
Yeah.
Stick with Notre Dame. Notre Dame and the Lou Holtz, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Take Notre Dame there. Dallen, last game to pick for this week, a Pac-12 matchup. Number 10, Utah. Heading over to Corvallis. I'm not going to screw that city up. Corvallis to take on number 19, Oregon State. Oregon State right now at -3.5 favorites, which I thought it actually would be. It's a tight spread, but I thought it actually might be even closer.
Yeah.
Given the performances of Utah throughout the course of the year and Oregon State coming off the loss, I thought this line would be a lot tighter, and maybe even Oregon State as a home dog, I thought would be maybe the outcome for this one. But they're favored by 3.5 over the Utes. I think it's a big opportunity for Oregon State to bounce back, and beating the Utah Utes at home would be massive for them. Give me the Beavers, and I'm locking them at +3.5. Actually, you know what? That's my favorite. That's my favorite play. I like this lock more so than the Duke one. I like this lock best. Oregon State, lock it up. +3.5.
All right. This line, Mitch, I think a lot of it has to do with the status of Cam Rising. Again, he has not played in any of these first 4 games. And Nate Johnson, who's come in relief, has looked good at times, but not great. They don't really try to pass the ball at all. They're pretty one-dimensional when, they have this other quarterback in. So I think, the questions around Cam Rising being available are going to, it's going to favor Oregon State for now. But I have a sneaking suspicion that Utah always planned this game to be the game. I thought they felt confident getting past UCLA. Probably shouldn't have been ranked in the top 25, but they get that early ranking, and this win looks really good last week. But, maybe it's not that impressive a win at the end of the season. But this Oregon State team on the road on a Friday night in Corvallis, that's a tough matchup. And I think Cam will be back for it, and I think the team rallies around him, and Utah gets it done. So I'm going to take the Utes on the road in this one. To get it done in a close matchup. This is probably, besides Kansas, Texas, I am very excited for that game. This is the other game on our list that I'm most excited to watch. And this will be a Friday night on FS1 between Utah and Oregon State. So big opportunity.
Big opportunity. And wow, opportunity for a lot of point swing here for a big point swing week.
Yeah, we differed on everything other than the Texas pick, which you love to see. So it could be a big swing for Mitch. Perhaps I extend my lead even more. You never know.
You never know.
We'll see how it shakes out.
I sure hope you don't extend that thing. I sure hope. Well, Dallen, let's round this college tour or this campus tour out with your player to know, just like you do every week. You give us one player to know looking forward into the NFL draft. So far, Roma Dunze and Shedeur Sanders have been the guys that you've highlighted. So, Dallen, take us into who you're highlighting this week.
Yeah, this is a player we've mentioned on here before. In fact, I think after week 1, I mentioned this player by name and said he will be on this list at some point this season. So you can just kind of plan on that. And I was planning on waiting, but he had another big game this past week to help his Florida State team earn the win over Clemson, game-winning touchdown in overtime for this guy. So we have to highlight now Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State, the Michigan State transfer. Spent his first few years up there in the Big Ten. Transfers this year to Florida State, who recruited him originally. I think he's a Florida kid. So kind of gets to come back home, compete for a college football playoff. And he's put up some good numbers this season. So far, 17 catches, 256 yards, and 6 touchdown receptions in 4 games already. He is a 6'4", 210 receiver. You're sort of more prototypical true X receiver. At least he certainly looks like it, right? Looks the part, plays big, red zone target, but has enough speed and athleticism to do a little bit of everything. And we've seen that in that Florida State offense, and especially with how they use him alongside Johnny Wilson, who is the 6'7", 230 behemoth at wide receiver. When you have that guy, Keon Coleman becomes your more shifty, they put him in the slot and they do some interesting stuff with him. He's shown some versatility, not just a true only outside kind of guy. But since that game 1 against LSU, where he really splashed to start the season, had 3 touchdowns, over 100 receiving yards in that game. He has really shot up draft boards. Right now on the consensus draft board, he is the prospect number 22 and wide receiver 5, only behind Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, both those wide receivers from Ohio State, Malik Neighbors from LSU, and Xavier Worthy from Texas. So wide receiver 5 right now on the consensus draft board. I think you could safely say he's going to be in the first round conversation right now. It just depends on when these wide receivers go and how many go in this first round. But he has great size when you compare him to some of the other players in this draft class. Marvin Harrison, take him aside. He is everything. We know that. But Egbuka, more of that modern, he doesn't have the 6'4" size. Malik Neighbors, small, shifty kind of guy. Xavier Worthy, you're more of your vertical deep threat kind of guy. Roma Dunze is more in this mold, a bit more of a do everything kind of player. So there's a spot here for Keon Coleman to shine in this wide receiver draft class. He's shown that ability to go make big plays in the red zone and when the game matters. And that's what NFL teams are going to love. When the game matters, who does Jordan Travis throw to? Keon Coleman. And who comes down with the catches? Keon Coleman. That matters to NFL teams. They want playmakers, and this kid's a playmaker. So a rising name who's solidified himself as a first-round pick probably at this point, at least in that conversation for wide receivers. But if you're not familiar yet, time to get familiar. It's Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State.
Love it. Love it, Dallen. Great to shout out the guy that's not 6'8". Let's get it's easy to shout out. It's easy to shout out the big guy. That's the big, the big weapon. But Keon Coleman has absolutely been productive for that Seminole offense. So, good player to know, Dallen. Great player to know. Well, that's going to wrap up the campus tour, Dallen, and that's going to wrap up the first half of this podcast. So, stick around. Let's hit a little mid-roll, and on the backside, let's get into a little who the hell is that, and maybe a little immaculate grid before we get into our NFL Week 3 recap, and then as always, we'll round out this show with our quick picks. Don't want to miss it. Stick around, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Loving that smooth jazz. Thanks for sticking around to go through us on the backside of the show, or second half of the show. Dallen, let's have a little fun before we get back to business. How about that?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, let's bring back a segment that we all know and love. It's called Who the Hell Is That? Dallen, I am going to give you the career path of a player. You have to tell me who that player is. You'll have 3 guesses. I'll have hints after each guess for you to decipher who the hell that is. So, Dallen, are you ready?
I am. Let's do it.
All righty. This player from the NFL had the career path of Denver, Baltimore, San Francisco.
Brandon Stokely.
No, it's a pretty damn good guess, though. But no, that is not Brandon Stokely. Great start, though. Let's go a little bit further here. This defensive end was drafted, let's see, in the fourth round of the 2006 NFL Draft?
Defensive end, 4th round, 2006 NFL Draft, and it's Denver, Baltimore, San Francisco, correct?
Yes.
Denver, Baltimore. I'm going to say Justin Smith.
Not Justin Smith. Great start, though. Another great guess again. This player who played the majority of his career, well, yeah, of course he played the majority of his career in the AFC, led the league in sacks in 2009 with 17.
Ooh. Led the league in 2009 with 17 sacks. Who? I don't feel great about this guess, but I'm going to say Elvis Dumervil.
That is correct, Alan.
No way.
That is correct.
Wow.
Great
Oh
job.
my goodness.
Elvis Dumervil. Yes.
Let's go. Oh, that feels so good.
Yeah.
Man.
He led the league in sacks with Denver in 2009, 17. He also had 17 sacks in Baltimore in 2014. 105 career sacks. One of those guys that I think that in the era of the Dwight Freeneys and the Justin Smiths and the Jared Allens, a guy that could easily, and DeMarcus Ware's, you could easily forget that Elvis Dumervil was a high impact player for any defense that he was a part of. So one of those guys I think is easily forgotten, easily overlooked, underrated. So Elvis Dumervil, well done, Dallen. Well done.
Oh, that feels good. That's a good poll. Wow, 17 sacks twice. That's impressive.
Yes.
You've had 2 different seasons, 2 different stops. I mean, wow. There you go.
Yes. Absolutely.
Love it. All righty, Mitch. Well, let's get this good mojo and let's continue it on for the Immaculate Grid. It's been a minute since we've done one of these, but for those who aren't familiar, ImmaculateGrid.com, you can go and play. We have to correctly guess players that qualify for these for certain either played for certain teams or reached a statistical milestone that's given. So we're sharing the screen now on the stream. So if you don't already, join us on the stream so you can watch this, see this live. You don't have to listen to it on the podcast. YouTube.com/sportshour, guys. Join us on Tuesdays. But Mitch, this is what we've got. Down the left-hand column, the vertical column, we have the Eagles, the Seahawks, and the Dolphins. And across the top horizontally, we have the Buccaneers, the Texans, and a 1,000-yard rushing season. So,
all right,
9 guesses to get it perfect. And where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the 1,000-yard rushers?
I think we should. Yeah. And I'm, like I said, it's more impressive if you get the obscure names that maybe don't instantly come to mind. So I think we could pull one for each of those teams, though. I think we can.
I feel like. Okay, what do you want to start with the Eagles then at the top?
Yeah. So let's start with the Eagles. My first name that wasn't LaShawn McCoy was Brian Westbrook.
I like that. Let's go Brian Westbrook. I'm sure it's not the most. See, here's the thing, folks. So this is the Immaculate Grid. We want to be perfect, but you get some extra incentive for the more rare of the name. So it's a fine balance. We want to be right, but we do want to challenge it a bit. But I like Brian Westbrook. We good with that?
Yeah.
Brian Westbrook, 27%. That's pretty good.
Okay. All right.
Seahawks, Mitch, I'm not going to lie. The first name that came to mind, Chris Carson.
So I was even going to go older and more obscure. Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner with a C, not a K.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Kurt Warner. I don't think anyone's picking that. So 6%.
There we go.
A 6% for Kurt Warner, the running back for the Seahawks. And then finally, the Dolphins, 1,000-yard rusher for the Dolphins. Jay Ajayi?
Mercury Morris?
Oh, who?
Mercury Morris. Jim Kick.
A real person.
Yeah.
Well, these are all old people.
He was right there.
These are all
Mercury
old
Morris.
People. That's why. 1969, 1976.
Jim Kick was the other one. Like Larry Zonka.
Yeah, Zonka would probably be. a decent amount.
Nah,
Kick with
don't do
two
Jim
eyes.
Kick. Don't do Jim Kick though, because he was more of a fullback type. So
What was the first name? What you feel good about
Mercury
that
Morris. Mercury Morris, yeah.
one? You
Feel
feel
pretty
good about it?
I do.
3%.
Yeah. All right.
Mercury Morris. All righty. Okay, Mitch. So we got teams left. Do you want to start with because we've got to match 3 different players with Bucks or Texans. So I feel like maybe starting with one of those and trying to match them might be good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds
so
good.
let's start with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, we got to match a player who played for the Bucks and the Eagles or the Seahawks or the Dolphins.
Damn, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of wide receivers.
Keyshawn Johnson, where did he also play?
He played
besides Tampa.
The Jets.
Okay, yeah, I knew that.
Might have been just Jets and Bucks.
Yeah, I don't remember where else he ended up.
Did Bruce Irvin play in Tampa Bay and Seattle?
Ooh, that is a good question. I know he played in Carolina for a season.
And he was in
Oakland
for a season.
Yeah, Tampa Bay doesn't feel great. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Go ahead.
I have one for Houston and Miami.
Okay. Houston, Miami. What do we got?
Lamar Miller.
Ooh, yeah. I love that. The Houston thing, Mitch. So we have Brock Osweiler. We've got David Carr. I think there's so many quarterbacks they've had over the years in Houston. We've got to pair one of those with Eagles or Seahawks. Oh, but those guys don't change quarterbacks very often. That might be tough.
Well, there's Seahawks had a lot of different. They had a rotating room of backups too. Did Tavares Jackson play in Houston as well? Or
yeah, see, I know Minnesota on that one, but I don't know after. He had the Matt Flynn, but I don't know.
Ryan
Did he end
Mallett?
up in Tampa Bay?
Did Ryan Mallett play for the Seahawks and the Texans?
Ooh, I don't know about the Seahawks. Do you feel good about the Seahawks on that? Because I know for sure.
I kind of feel like he played in Seattle for a year.
Ryan
He was
Mallett.
a backup to Russ.
I
know he was in Houston. I fucking send it. Ryan Mallett. Why not?
Incorrect.
God dang it.
We did it. Okay, that's all right.
All right.
That's all right. This is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. Did Rondé Barber ever play anywhere else?
I don't think so. That's a good pull though.
Any of those defensive guys though. So I was thinking the Eagles. Did they end up in Philly? I think most of those guys like Derek Brooks and Sapp and all them were pretty steady.
Damn, this is a tough one.
Tampa Bay and Houston's a tough one. Obviously, they're a very new franchise. Tampa, though, Tampa's tricky. We got to match Tampa with Philly, Seattle, or Miami still. I feel like we're missing an obvious quarterback one on those.
I really do.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Like a Jeff Garcia. Did he play for the Eagles?
Oh, Eagles.
I think Jeff Garcia. Yeah.
Jeff Garcia. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I contributed, and that feels great. An 8%er there. I love that.
Love that, Alan. Good stuff. Good
stuff.
Okay.
But Miami, they've had, just thinking random guys that came through these places.
There's got to be a wide receiver that played in Tampa and Miami.
Yeah.
There has to be. Deshaun Jackson didn't have a weird stop in Miami.
Oh,
Tampa, did he?
Oh, Deshaun Jackson would have been a good one for the Eagles, but actually not as rare, but would have been a good one. I don't think so.
Randy McMichael I don't.
For Tampa, Miami.
Yeah, no, he was with the Chargers. Sorry, he was with the
Okay.
Chargers.
We got
Damn.
3 guesses left. We got to try to get something here. Is there any obvious ones that we just want to like maybe try to just pencil in, I guess?
That's what I'm trying to think. Is like that's the thing I think that's eluding me right now is the obvious ones.
What about Arian Foster? Did he end up like in Philly at all? That was the one.
He actually might have been in Miami too.
I think actually he was.
I think he was in Miami. Yeah.
That's funny.
There was. Oh no, that was Green Bay.
Clowney didn't.
Oh, Jadeveon Clowney's played everywhere. Yeah.
Did he play in Seattle? I feel like.
I think he did. Yeah.
46%. Wow. For like 1 year in Seattle, the fact that
that's an easy one. He's played everywhere. That's
exactly.
One.
That's why I was thinking. I was like, he's played everywhere. Okay, we got 2 guesses left. We got to get a Texan or with an Eagle, or we pair a Buck with a Seahawk or Dolphins.
Matt Schaub didn't play in Philly, did he? Like as a backup, maybe?
Definitely could have. I'm down to send it at this point.
I mean, yeah.
You feel good about it?
Let's try it. Nope. Damn.
It was a no. Okay, one more. What about like Warwick Dunn? He ended up Seattle or Miami at all? He played for Tampa, right? I'm not.
Yes, he played. Oh, he played for Tampa and Atlanta.
Yeah, I knew those 2. I couldn't think if there was another one. Brad Johnson. Where did Brad Johnson end up anywhere?
He was with the Bucks and the Vikings.
Yeah. Josh Freeman. I feel like he might have been
Miami
Dolphins.
and Tampa.
I'm sending it.
Do it.
It was a no-go. Okay, this was our poorest performance on the Immaculate Grid yet, but that's okay. This is tricky.
Yeah, that was actually a tough one. I want to know what possible answers could be. So like,
right,
and just be like, oh damn it, why didn't I think of that guy? That would have been easy, but no.
Yeah, tough. So we left out on a Texan and someone who played for Houston and Philly. Someone who played for Tampa and Seattle, and then Tampa and Miami. So if you're sitting there screaming in your car right now, how did you not think of this player? Leave us a comment here. Jump into the stream. Let us know who we missed here. Because hate to see it.
I feel like an idiot, Dallen, an idiot.
It happens. It happens.
It's
not an easy game. It's what perfection is not easy. You know.
No, it's not. It's not easy. And darn it, we're pretty darn close to it most of the time. But you know.
Yeah.
But 6 out of 9 too. That's like that's batting 667. Yeah.
I love that you put that. I love that you put that as batting 667, and I put that as a D plus. Very different ways to look at the same grade.
I'm a glass half full guy, buddy. I'm a glass half full guy.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, man.
I love it.
Well, Dallen, let's get into our NFL recap of Week 3, and we're gonna go back to format that we really like to use when we recap in the NFL. A little bit of superlative action here. So Dallen, let's kick it off with our most impressive team, and I'll let you start. And I have a feeling of where you're going with this to kick it off, because damn it, there was a team that was damn impressive.
Yeah, maybe this is just the default answer. Certainly not exciting, but the Miami Dolphins were my most impressive team from this past week, who put up a 70-piece against the Denver Broncos in their win. Most points scored by an NFL team in a game since 1966. The regular season record was 72 points. The overall record is 73, which was done in the playoffs, but 70 points for Miami in this win. The offense, I mean, we talked about this after the week 1, our reaction, right? Miami, that explosive offense. Wow, they could be exciting this year. Well, I don't think we saw 70 points on the horizon a few weeks later. I certainly did not.
No.
They're showing you exactly what they're capable of doing. They use pre-snap motion about 80% of the time. It's a league high in the history of the NFL. No one's moved around that much. And when you have all the speed that Miami does on offense, this is the game plan. We're gonna get all these guys with speed out there. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, by the way. Apparently not Achane, Achane. He has clarified us. So Devin Achane, Raheem Mostert. You get all this speed, and we're gonna put these guys in motion. We're gonna do whatever we want with them, and good luck. Good luck covering these guys at the line of scrimmage. Good luck covering them down the field. Good luck in zone. Good luck in man. Just like, how do have a nice day. And it is obviously a challenge for defenses. We will see how teams adjust, and especially come playoff time, Mitch, when it's all about the matchup. Is a defensive coach out there smart enough to figure this Miami thing out and really stifle it? We'll see. That'll be the test, come January, if they make it there. But I mean, so far, damn, it looks unstoppable. It really does. And Tua is playing perfect. The defense still can be even better, and the defense has also been good, but it's Miami team. They're here to stay. They're here to make some noise. They may be the team of 2023.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say that right now they are the team to beat in the AFC. I mean, they are that impressive offensively. You mentioned the pre-snap movement out of them. When you have all that speed, predicate your offense on misdirection and let your guys get out in space and eat, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a brilliant play scheme, a brilliant scheming by the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinating team by Mike McDaniel. They are using their players to their maximum potential and using them where their strengths fit them best. I have Raheem Mostert on a fantasy team, and I was stoked that I played him. And then I realized that I didn't even play the best running back on the field because Devon Achane is he went apeshit. He went apeshit on this Broncos defense.
Yeah.
And it was just an incredible performance. One you don't see very often, and so it was nice to see this incredible performance by a very, very talented Miami Dolphins team.
Yeah, an historic moment for the NFL in the modern era. And the fact that no one scored 70 since 1966. I mean, we say no one, but like in the age of offensive proliferation in the NFL, right? No one's gotten close to this. I don't think this is the last time we see this. I think this will become more commonplace than it ever has been. Teams getting 60 plus points with how important offense is and how much of an emphasis there is on it. So,
yeah, I mean, 70 is
70's
a
lot.
70's up there.
70's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an incredible performance by Miami. I'm going to stay in the division, and their division rivals the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to put as my most impressive team. A team that has had moments this year where, damn it, they did not look very good. But defensively, this team rose to the occasion this week, holding the Commanders to 3 points. It's the Commanders team that actually wasn't really impressive through the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
It was surprising people a lot with how good and efficient they were with the football. Buffalo rose to the occasion. They circled the wagons like no one else does, because no one else circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, and they shut down the Washington Commanders, also put up a 37-piece on them. Just an all-around really, really solid performance, and just continues to solidify my belief as to why they are one of the premier organizations in the National Football League right now, is their ability to take adversity, flip it around, learn from it, and continue to grow as an organization. An impressive win by the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they had the disappointing week 1 loss to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers goes out of that game, and Josh Allen was throwing the game away right down the stretch. And I mean, the way that they've responded against the Raiders and the Commanders, not great teams, but you scored 75 points. And they allowed 13 in these 2 games and these 2 wins, including this impressive win over Washington this last week. So it's exactly what you want to see from Buffalo after the shaky start. And you just hope that this is more of what we see from Buffalo moving forward. But the defense stepping up, we know what the offense with Josh Allen is capable of, but the defense stepping up back-to-back games, 13 points total allowed. That's a good sign for Buffalo.
Yeah, and sorry, just a little bit of a sidestep here. I have to do shout out my boy Shane, commenting. I could never think of the Miami Dolphins without thinking of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That's right. Laces out, Marino. Laces out, Marino.
Yes, that's a
love
classic.
Love that. Anyway, Dallen, moving on to the most disappointing team of the week. I'll have you start because I need the dance floor for a minute.
Yes.
So I'll have you start, and then I'll take over from there.
I'm happy to, my friend. I picked the Dallas Cowboys this week for the most disappointing team after their 28-16 loss to the Arizona Cardinals, a team that I honestly thought could go winless this year. It would not have surprised me had the Cardinals gone 0-17, but they will not. They got to win. They beat the Cowboys. And after the Cowboys looked so good, it's so impressive to start the season to put up the performance they did on Sunday. Very disappointing. Mostly in, I mean, listen, the offense wasn't great. They moved the ball extremely well. The fact that the defense, 200 yards on the ground, they gave up. 222 total yards on the ground. Unacceptable. Josh Dobbs, 17 for 21 in that game. Not 4 incompletions total. A very clean game for this offense. Unacceptable for this Cowboys defense that should be one of the league's best. Pitched a shutout over the Giants to open up the season. Can't be having this. Need to have a good bounce back next week. So I'll pick Dallas for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very fitting selection for this because, there was so much to be excited about with this Dallas Cowboys team, and to have this disappointing of a look and the lack in discipline
13
on this team.
penalties. Ooh.
13 penalties, exceptionally undisciplined. Really, really disappointing show from Dallas on Sunday. Now, look, there are going to be weeks that good teams lose to teams they shouldn't lose to. Unfortunately, Dallas has the track record of doing that a lot. And Dallas also has the track record of folding when they have, their ceiling is at its very highest. They don't live up to the expectations and the hype. So is this just another Dallas Cowboys team that's going to fall short of what they're truly capable of? Or is this just one of those weeks where they didn't show up? They didn't show up. I'm going to lean with they just didn't show up. I still think that this Dallas Cowboys team is very, very good. But, nonetheless, a very disappointing week from the Cowboys.
It's a Cardinals team that stepped up big, a Dallas team that probably overlooked their opponent in some ways. It's all those mix of things. You just have to see the bounce back, right? You have to see them bounce back, look more like themselves next week. Shane also adds another comment. It almost looked like European football. So many penalties. Yes. Agreed. I mean, and listen too, 1 of 5 in the red zone. You get to the red zone 5 times, 1 of 5 in the red zone. Unacceptable. We just can't have that. So that's, can't have that.
No, can't have it. Can't have it.
Okay, Mitch, your most disappointing team. It is time. Oh, wait, hold on. Give me just a second.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Floor's yours, my friend.
Every fucking year, the hope is there. The hope is there, and I get my soul stepped on. Every year. Year in and year out, I get my hopes up for this stupid team, and enough is enough already. Haven't had a quarterback since Sid Luckman 1948. Justin Fields is a bum. He's not the answer. Waste of 11th pick in the draft. Waste of a pick. Luke Getsy needs to go. Virginia McClaskey has to sell the team. Sell it. Get new ownership in. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm done. I'm sick and tired of the Bears. Sick of them. My blood pressure's going through the roof. Fire Luke Getsy. Tank, sell the whole team. Get rid of the whole defense. Get rid of the whole defense. A unit. The entire history of the Chicago Bears has been built upon the defense, and we can't even play defense. We can't do anything. We can't run the ball. We can't even tie our shoes right. This is the most embarrassing organization in the National Football League. And then you got all the Alan Williams stuff. On the side. Apparently, he's a scumbag. Good thing he's not in the building anymore. But you have a scumbag in the building for the majority of the offseason, building a toxic culture. I'm done. I'm done with the Bears. I'm done. Out of my system.
You shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now. You shut up!
I am fucking scared. I'm so fucking scared right now.
Oh, Mitch, I get it. And listen, it's almost like a blessing what Miami did this week to kind of gloss over the horrible game from Chicago and their loss to the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, it's not good. And listen, I'm gonna try to talk you off the ledge a little bit, Mitch. It's still early in the season. We know this is a rebuild. We know this will take time, but, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were chatting, you need to see progress. We need to see something better.
The thing is, we don't see progress.
It's arguably looking worse.
It's worse. It's worse than what it was.
Justin Fields is lost, and it's not all on him. There's no confidence in this offense. Why would he have confidence in this offense?
Going into this week, Dallen, we had, through the first 2 weeks, called 4 designed run plays for Justin Fields. 4.
Yeah.
This is a guy that became the 3rd quarterback in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards last year, and you've called 4 designed run plays for him? What are you doing? Luke Getsy, we can put it on the coaching, but you also have to put something on Justin Fields because the guy holds onto the ball way too long. Way too long. And he's too athletic and too fast and too good with his legs to just stand there in the pocket and hold on to the ball the whole time. Get out of the pocket. Be creative. That's what you do best. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah. Well, he's probably being coached not to, right? And then that's the fault of the coaches.
And then you fire Luke Getsy.
Be the player that he is. And it's a slippery slope with this situation. It's bad. I think this goes right into our overreactions for the week, Mitch, because both of our overreactions have to do with the Bears. So let's keep this going. We're talking about Justin Fields. Your overreaction this week is
Justin Fields will lose his starting job by year's end.
Okay. So
they'll lose it.
The Bears will pack it in. Say this isn't working. Getsy's probably fired. They bench Fields and they say we'll figure it out next year. That's what you're saying?
They should. I mean, look, there's no reason to keep running this guy out there if you got something else that might work behind him. There's just no reason to. And if you're going to be committed to him and he's playing like dog ass like he does every week, just sit the guy down. Don't even play around with it. I'm just so down. I'm so down on the Bears right now. It is ridiculous.
It's sad. I'm just thinking back right now to that draft night in 2021. You and I on a call, and just how excited we both were for the Bears getting a quarterback, getting Justin Fields. What a move. This is going to be huge. Exciting.
Sid Luckman. Unbelievable.
Well, Mitch, hopefully it's better news for you in the future. My overreaction from this week, and this would be good news for you, maybe not for this season, but for next season, perhaps. My overreaction was that the Bears are going to have 2 top 4 picks in next year's draft, and one of those picks will be spent on a quarterback. This goes to the fact that the Bears are going to be bad. They're going to have their own first-round pick, but they also own my Carolina Panthers first-round pick next year, and Carolina is 0-3, and it doesn't look like we're going to be winning games anytime soon. So that first-round pick will be Chicago's. It's very likely those end up both in the top 10, but at this point, top 4 or 5. And if you have 2 picks in that range, it would be near impossible to pass up on a quarterback prospect, considering what we would likely have to see from Justin Fields to get there. So that feels like the direction we're heading right now. But I want to say this isn't set in stone. This can turn around. We can see stuff from Justin Fields. We're 3 games in. but things need to happen. Things certainly need to be different. I'm 100% with you there, and I hope they figure it out one way or the other.
If we do have 2 top 4 picks, and let's say Justin Fields continues to not be the guy, based off what I've seen so far, it's Jared Verse and it's Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are the 2 I want.
Yeah.
Give me an edge guy. Give me the weapon. That's who I want. Almost punt on the quarterback position. I mean, it's what's the
Not
point?
worth it.
What's the point? We keep drafting a bum anyway. What's the point in taking one?
Run Wildcat all the time, or just only
Maybe.
spend 5th round picks or later on a quarterback. We're never going to invest in a guy ever. We're going to find one that works.
Take a playbook from take a page from the playbook of the 49ers and draft Mr. Irrelevant. Maybe that works out for us.
Oh, Mitch, you hate to see it. Our MVP of the week, though. How about you go first? Or should we kind of have the same one?
Let's talk about this. You say go ahead and say yours first, though.
My MVP of this NFL Week 3 is not an NFL player. She was in an NFL stadium. She has taken over the NFL this week. That is Miss Taylor Swift. Is the MVP of this week. I mean, Mitch, first off, I've never had my wife talk to me more about the NFL than I ever had this week. I swear to you. She's bringing up Travis Kelce. She's bringing up the Chiefs. She's telling me about all this stuff. I'm like, what is this? The NFL Instagram and Twitter account changed their bio on Sunday to 9/24/23. Taylor was here. Like the NFL fully embraced the Taylor Swift thing. It got a little annoying. It was a little much, and I'm with it. I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but just an incredible moment when you have Travis Kelce, reportedly dating Taylor Swift. She comes to Arrowhead for the game. She's shown in the press box. I mean, everything was Taylor Swift this week in the NFL, and for that reason, I think she deserves MVP.
No, Dallen, you've got the wrong person for MVP. The MVP is Donna Kelce. Travis Kelce's mom, who had to sit in the press box with that broad for the whole game. I mean, are you kidding me? I can't imagine a more annoying human being than Taylor Swift. I can't imagine one in my life. And Donna Kelce had to sit directly next to her. Not only that, but also conversate with her for 3 hours.
They seemed
of
friendly.
Boring football. It wasn't even like the
each other
football game was.
before.
It wasn't even like a football. The football was good. I mean, it was shitty
Yeah.
football. They're blowing the Bears out,
True.
and you got to sit there and listen to Taylor Swift talk for 3 hours. Hell no. Donna Kelce, MVP. Way to go, lady. You survived a crappy football game sitting next to the most annoying person that I could possibly think of.
Wow.
That's an MVP
Okay.
move. That's an MVP move in my book.
All righty. Give me a
Sorry,
percentage.
Taylor Swift fans. Didn't
You're
mean to upset you.
You're gonna get our podcast canceled by Swifties, Mitch. Thank you.
I don't care.
Percentage chance that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are actually dating, and that this is not just 100% a publicity move. Give me a
I
percentage.
mean, let me
1 out of
preface
100.
this. Let me preface this. I really don't care if they're dating or not, but
Doesn't
this,
matter. I need an answer.
I know. I'm giving you one. 58%.
Okay, so more likely that this is real, that they actually are dating.
Slightly more likely.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a whopping 3%. I don't believe this at all. The Kelsey's
think
got
about
some docu-series coming out. Taylor Swift's got a movie coming out about her concert in theaters next week. I mean, it's like, come on. The PR teams are just, oh my God, they love this. This is incredible
this
stuff.
is a lot like the Tony Romo, Jessica Simpson thing.
Yeah.
I mean, no one actually believed it, and then it was
That is
announced,
true.
and then they broke up like 6 months later. So, this will
It'll
be a
be the same
short-lived
thing.
thing. It'll be the same thing.
I
It'll be the
love
same
it.
thing.
Mitch, the big L of the week. Who takes your big L this week?
Oh, the Titans offense. I mean, pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, pathetic. Ryan Tannehill, he's done. He's done.
Oh, yeah.
His career is done. As far as being a productive NFL player goes, Ryan Tannehill's career is done. And you got to credit the Cleveland Browns defense to a actually large extent. They played exceptionally well. But for them to shut down Derrick Henry 11 for 20, 1.8 yards a carry, That's an impressive feat. Now, I know that Derrick Henry has a lot of tread worn off the tires. Like, he's been around a while, and he's been a kind of a grinder for the last 3 or 4 years, which is about where an NFL running back should be, as far as, shelf life for a running back. But for them to put on this performance was impressive. But damn, the Titans offense, an offense that was prolific just a few years ago, has suddenly just dropped off a cliff and is not even close to anything impressive.
Oh yeah, we talked about this in our week 1 overreactions, Mitch, that it's time to throw in Willis or Levis and just see where it goes, because the future is clearly not Tannehill. It's clearly not Henry. And there's no point in doing this. There's no point in doing this. You're subjecting your fans to probably a hate crime, probably some sort of hate crime or some sort of against the Geneva Convention, whatever this is. It's not good. So yeah, we need to move on from it. Mitch, my big L.
In fact, I'm starting to get a shitty taste in my mouth from just talking about the Titans offense.
Feels gross.
Yeah.
My big L goes to Sam Howell, which is disappointing because he's been, you mentioned it earlier when you talked about the Bills, he's been really good this year and exciting for this Washington team. I joked that he's Kroger Baker Mayfield, great value Baker Mayfield, but he had a rough game against the Buffalo Bills. 19 of 29, 170 yards, 4 interceptions, sacked 9 times. I mean, and I don't even want this isn't even just on him. Put it on the offensive line as well for that performance. But you hate to see it, especially after what was a really good, fun start for him in this offense to do that, to put up a stat line like that. No fun. Hate to see it for the kid. Hopefully they bounce back, but you get the L this week.
It was really bad. I mean, he was on his back more than a dollar store hooker. I mean, he was getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Long, and it's tough. It's growing pains for a young NFL quarterback. Growing pains for a young NFL quarterback. You're going to have days like these. So take your lumps and bruises and move forward, young man. You'll be just fine. Dallen, that is going to wind up our NFL recap week 3. Let's get into our quick picks. And Dallen, another close week between us. I went 10-6. You went 9-7, only a 1-game difference so far on the year. I am 28-20. You are 27-21. I feel like we've been off to a slower start than we have in years past. I don't know why. I feel like we always kind of start off the year a little hot before we have some kind of mediocre weeks. But we are we're doing okay. We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there.
Over 500 is good. Yeah, I mean, ideally, no more 9-7s, no more 10-6s. We'd love to see 12-13. But it's not easy to pick these games. We're doing our best here. We gotta do what we can do. So, I'm pretty happy with these results so far. But yeah, I expect things. Maybe this is the week that it picks up. Maybe it's next week. But we'll get it going here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll get it going.
We'll absolutely get it going. Dallen, are you ready to hop into this?
I'm ready for it.
All right, let's kick it off. Let's get, no pun intended, kick it off on Thursday Night Football. The Detroit Lions, they are headed over to Wisconsin to take on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Right now, Detroit favored -1.5. Green Bay road dogs, or home dogs, excuse me. Give me the boys on the road, though. I like the Lions, the fighting Dan Campbells, to take this one in Lambeau.
Yeah, I knew you weren't taking the Packers in this one, Mitch. I will gladly take Green Bay, though. Jordan Love, impressive to start this season. Green Bay, pretty impressive to start this season. I like Green Bay getting it done on Thursday night. Should have Aaron Jones back. That's what they say. That'll be a huge help. Give me the Packers. Following that, Mitch, it's our first overseas game. We're headed to London. The Jacksonville Jaguars, as always, hosting. They've left the swamps of Jacksonville and joining them across the pond, the Atlanta Falcons. Jacksonville favored -3 in this game. But give me Atlanta to get the win over in the UK. ATL to the UK. I say W.
Jacksonville looking for a rebound game after the embarrassing loss they had this last week to the Texans. I think they get it done in their second home. London, mate. Give me the Jags. I almost said at home, but technically they are at home in London. Give me the Jags to win that one. Give me the cover 2. Following that game, we have the Los Angeles Rams. They're headed over to the state of Indiana, the Hoosier State, to take on the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, Colts favored -1.5. I'm going to take the Rams on the road, though. I think this Rams team stumbled a little bit. Look for them to get back on track against an Indianapolis team that's struggling a little bit. I like the Rams on the road.
Yeah, Minshew looked good for the Colts last week. They got a big win over Baltimore. Will we see AR? Will we see Minshew? I don't think it matters, Mitch. I'm rolling with the Rams as well. Stafford, Puka Nacua, they get a bounce back after a rough Monday night matchup with Cincinnati. They get it done on the road. Give me the Rams. Following that, an AFC North matchup. Baltimore and Cleveland. Ravens and Browns. We're in Cleveland, Mitch. The best city in Ohio. You know it. Cleveland is the reason, Mitch. The Browns favored -2.5 in this game. Can Baltimore bounce back from the loss? Give me Lamar. Give me the Ravens on the road.
I have to go with the horny one here. I have to go with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. He's horny for another win. I'm going to take the Browns at home over the Baltimore Ravens. Give me the Brownies. Following that game, the Minnesota Vikings, they are leaving the state of Minnesota and headed over to the East Coast to take on your boys, the Carolina Panthers. Right now, Minnesota favored -3.5. Carolina home dogs. I think that's fitting. Minnesota is gonna right the ship at some point. Get off the schneid. I like Minnesota on the road.
Yeah, not the best start for my Carolina Panthers. 0-3 on the season. Minnesota also 0-3 on the season. One of these teams is walking away with their first win of the year. And why not the Carolina Panthers? Keep pounding, baby. Back at home, Andy Dalton gets it done against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Give me the Panthers, Mitch. Following that game, Joe Burrow, the Tiger King, and the Bengals headed to Nashville to take on the Titans. Favored by only 2.5 on the road. Surprising for how Tennessee has looked this season. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely taking the Bengals on the road in this one. Easy win for Cincinnati.
Easy win, easy cover. Give me the Bengals in Music City over the Titans. Love that pick. Following that game down, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're leaving the state of Florida to head down to the Big Easy to take on the Nolans Saints. Right now, the Saints favored -3 at home, and I think that's fitting. It's Jameis time in New Orleans. I think everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay because the guy that can throw 30 touchdowns, he might throw 30 picks, but he can throw 30 touchdowns. Derek Carr hasn't been able to do that in his career, but I like the Saints at home to cover over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I like the Saints in this one as well. In an ugly game, Tampa has been good but not great. Don't truly believe in Baker. Jameis is going to be very comfortable in this offense. A lot of weapons to throw to. Alvin Kamara back for this game. That's going to be huge for the Saints. Give me New Orleans at home, Mitch. Following that, probably game of the week. Are we good with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The Miami Dolphins, fresh off of a 70-point beatdown of the Broncos, they're heading up north to take on the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored -2.5 in this AFC East matchup. Can Miami match the firepower from last week? Can Buffalo's defense step up big like they did against Washington? I'm going to go with Miami on the road. They're not putting up 70 this week, but they will put up points and do enough to beat this Buffalo Bills team. Give me the Dolphins.
Very, very tight game. I think if this is December, I pick in the opposite direction. I go Buffalo, but it's going to be September. So I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins to get this one done on the road. Give me the Fins. Following that game, garbage game of the week?
Absolutely garbage game of the week. We gotta hear it real quick.
This is just hot garbage. Straight hot garbage. You're a garbage person.
Yeah, this is bad. This is a bad game. The Denver Broncos, they are leaving Mile High to head over to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears. You know how down I am on the Bears, Dallen. You know how bad I think this team is. We can't go 0-17 though, Dallen. You got to be crazy if you think I'm not taking my Bears. The Broncos don't bounce back from the 70-point beatdown. Give me the Bears at home, 3.5-point dogs. I like the Bears in this one.
The fact that people are subjected to this game is remarkable. But
equivalent to Pol Pot's war crimes, yes.
It's pretty bad.
It's bad.
I'm picking either of these teams feels stupid, but I'm going to pick Denver in this one because you have to bounce back positively after hitting what we hope to see as rock bottom for this Denver team. I guess TBD on that, but I say they bounce back and get an ugly win on the road. Give me the Broncos and this one, Mitch. Following that, an NFC East matchup. The Commanders heading to Philly to take on the Eagles. Philly favored -8.5 in this game. And I will take the Eagles at home. Maybe probably a better performance from Washington in this offense. You're probably not seeing 4 picks and 9 sacks again, but it's not going to be a pretty game for Washington. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, I got the Eagles in this one as well. I mean, Jalen Hurts and that team is still they're a special team. I think this is one of a top 3 most talented team in football. I like the Eagles over the Commanders at home. Following that game to round out the morning slate, lots of games in the morning slate this week. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're leaving the Steel City to head down to Houston, the Lone Star State, to take on the Houston Texans. Impressive win by the Texans last week. Pittsburgh not looking too hot. Give me the Texans. Give me the Texans at home. The home dog Texans +3 to get the win over the Steelers.
I'm rolling with you, Mitch. Give me Houston. CJ Stroud has looked really good to start his NFL career. 3 games in, he's looking solid. The team's rallying. It's exciting stuff in Houston. I love it. So, yeah, I'm rolling with them at home as well. Let's jump over to the afternoon slate. We have an AFC West matchup. The Las Vegas Raiders headed to SoFi Stadium to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers favored -5.5 in this one. I have no faith in Vegas. Absolute zero faith in Vegas. Give me the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers looking for a bounce. Chargers. There's just not. I'm not picking the Raiders. I'm just not picking the Raiders anymore. I'm done picking the Raiders. I've picked them for so long. I'm done picking the Raiders. Give me the Chargers at home in that matchup. Following that game down, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They are going to be leaving the desert and head up to the city by the bay to take on the San Francisco 49ers. This Niners team, very good. Very good. Team to beat in the NFC, in my opinion. Exceptionally built, and they got a bad man under center. I want to Brock and roll all night and Purdy every day. Give me Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers to get it done over the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, largest line this week. San Francisco favored by 14. 2 touchdown favorites for the Niners, and they probably cover, Mitch. I'm going with the Niners on this one. Yeah, Arizona, great win against Dallas, but probably come back down to earth this week against a very, very tough San Francisco 49ers squad. Final afternoon game. The New England Patriots headed to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of Dallas, favored -7 in this game. Chance for a bounce back, but not an easy task with Bill Belichick coming into town. I know this Patriots team isn't the most impressive, but not easy nonetheless. That being said, I'm going with the Cowboys. Give me Dallas.
Yep, give me the Cowboys in this one. This is not a good New England team. And I think that this is going to be a good time for Bill Belichick to exit stage left at the end of the season. That's kind of the direction they're headed. Give me the Cowboys at home. Following that game, Dallen, Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are leaving the Midwest to head over to the Big Apple to take on the New York Jets, the Jets, Jets. Right now, KC favored -9.5. Big home dogs are the Jets, and it's for a reason. Give me KC on the road to get it done in New York.
Yeah, I'd be taking Kansas City if it was Aaron Rodgers, Joe Namath, or Zach Wilson behind center for the Jets. The Jets are a talented team, don't get me wrong, but this Chiefs team is legit. And I think, that opening game of the season against the Lions, Saw a little bit of shakiness from the offense, but last week, I think, yes, it was the Bears. We found some good rhythm, found some mojo. I think it continues against New York, so give me Kansas City on Sunday night, and that leads into our Monday night football game in the Big Apple, Mitch. The New York Giants hosting all the way from the Northwest, the Seattle Seahawks, making the journey across the country for Monday night. Giants favored -1.5 at home in this one. But give me Geno Smith and the Seahawks to get her done on Monday night. Not a believer in this Giants team. I do believe that the Seahawks will be a playoff team in the NFC. Important opportunity here on Monday night. Give me the Seahawks.
I'm going to take the G-Men at home. I do like the Seahawks team, but you know what? There's just something about playing in New York that the Giants, that's going to help the Giants get this one done. If they go play this game in Seattle, it's not happening. But they're playing it at home. Long travel distance for the Seattle Seahawks. Not a fan of that. Give me the G-Men.
Okay. There you go. That's it for the week 4 quick picks, my friend. We'll see. We had quite a few different picks here, so maybe that bodes well for one of us to kind of up the scores here. Put in a solid week.
It's got to bode well for one of us with that many differences. So,
or we'll both end up like 8-8 again, and we'll just be in the same spot.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. But Dallen, I think that's it for the podcast, isn't it?
That is it, and we appreciate you guys joining us on this Tuesday evening. Again, if you joined us live on YouTube at youtube.com/the Sports Hour Guys, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Sports Hour Guys, we appreciate you joining, commenting. Shane, Michael, we appreciate your comments that you shared with us throughout this podcast. We appreciate. We invite you guys to do like them and join us every Tuesday night here. If you do listen to the podcast, though, we do appreciate you. We value you. Thanks for listening in the future. We get it. We're not the prettiest guys to look at. So, if you don't want to subject yourselves to that, we get it. But we would appreciate it either way.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to look at us, but if you don't want to look at us, you can also go listen to the podcast. So, the show comes in multiple forms, people. Yeah, Dallen, you can go get this podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. You can go get it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Look up the Sports Hour Guys, and you'll find us there. Go ahead and get us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rating and review. Tell us that we suck, because that's the only way that we can get better, buddy.
That is the only way that we could get better. And we would like to do that. Listen, maybe we haven't started the season 0-3, but I don't think we're 3-0. We got room to improve.
I mean, we're 1-2.
Yeah, maybe 2-1. Maybe we didn't miss a week. So yeah, we probably got to chalk up an L there. We're probably 1-2, but that's why we need to get better. That's what we're here for, folks. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting to 2-2. This is a great show, buddy. Great show.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like this was a dub today. Let us know if it was a dub in the books for the boys today, guys. But we appreciate you joining as always. Looking forward to more football next week and the weeks after that. So until next time, we love you. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next week.
So long, everyone, and a very pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. We'll literally see ya!